All right, next we're firing these off. We
Yeah.
have what's with this like video thing? Can I get rid of this video? Like, am I gonna?
Entirely.
Oh God, why is this video so obstructive? And then, oh my God. Okay, whatever. Exclusive: Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony won't be part of E3. You want to start on this one? Like,
I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this one. I mean, E3 is like E3 is kind of dead. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's dead. I think that like Nintendo and Xbox will have at least a like video like direct slash presentation around the time of E3. This is
yes,
just saying they're not going to be on the show floor.
right,
So,
right.
you know.
That's exactly what they're saying. Which is what they've been doing of late anyway. All the big
Yeah.
people are just doing their own stuff, which
Yeah.
isn't really a surprise.
There's no reason for them to like hire people and pay for
Right.
space on the show floor,
Yeah.
basically. So
That being said, it's not like nobody's going to go to E3. I do think there are a lot of various other publishers that'll go. I just think E3 needs to scale down. I think they can't be the same trade show they were. I think they just need to scale down their operation. I think it's not, I don't think you're going to see a lot of the big people like Xbox, Nintendo, Sony, not just them. EA is not going to do anything at E3. EA is going to do their own thing, I'm sure, because that's what they've been doing. Blizzard doesn't go. Riot's not going to go. A lot of these big name publishers that have the budget are not going to go because they can just do their own online show.
Yep.
But if they scale back E3 and make it into something that's more for the other people, for like just like smaller developers, smaller publishers, like that's what I think it needs to be. But yeah, E3 just needs to scale back. They're not
but
a big trade show anymore. Scale back.
yeah, they don't. I think they don't want to do that though because well, before COVID they had recently opened it up to the public and it was just like those tickets were so expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I'm sure they were like the ESA was making a killing on like E3 tickets.
Right. And this is where, are you going to be stubborn or are you going to be stupid or are you going to adapt? And
I don't know.
A lot of people are just stubborn and stupid, and that's okay for them because you're going to learn the hard way. But they need to scale back. Just scale back E3. It's not that big of a deal. You'll still make money. You're just not going to make as much money, but you'll still exist and you'll still make something. I mean, but people are stupid and stubborn. They're not going to see the writing on the wall until it's too late. You're not going to get any big publishers anymore. Scale it back. Be more for the smaller people. You can still exist in that capacity, and that's where you are. I mean, like the E3 show, like for the online portion, or you just do online only. You just don't even do a physical location.
Yeah.
E3 is an online only event, which, I mean, like that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Saves you cost. Saves you money.
Yep.
So, but this is obviously big. Like, if the three big console people aren't going to go,
all three of the console makers and publishers are like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and Nintendo was going, even though they would do directs and stuff, they would go just to be on the floor. So it's surprising they're just not even going to be on the floor. So I'm very much a development that I think E3 just needs to scale back. That's the answer. They won't, I'm sure, because people like money, but you can still exist, just scale back. It's okay. You can have 2 mansions instead of 3. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine in 1 boat. You don't need 2 boats.
2 mansions and 3 yachts.
Yeah, I don't get. But people are very stubborn and, stupid. So they'll try and like make it bigger than it should be.
Yep.
So, any other thoughts?
Nope, we'll just see where it goes from here. I'm sure I'm sure there will still be plenty of announcements, and as I said, I'm sure Xbox and Nintendo and maybe even Sony too will have their own like separate shows
Right.
at least online video presentations around the time of E3, but just kind of like when they want to.
Right. Okay, the last thing we had is not gaming related. Nor do I think it will necessarily have any impact on games. I just posted this for me. Um, Twitter's no longer going to support a free API. They had been supporting a free API for quite some time. It was great for educational reasons. A lot of my school projects were using the Twitter API. They are now going to have a paid basic tier of the API because apparently they just are so desperate for cash.
Yeah.
And I saw some
Elon.
people huffing hopium, huffing the copium on this. And I don't know why you're like taking bullets for Twitter as a regular person. I don't know what your problem is, but people are like, that's not how APIs work. They're not usually free. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's Twitter API. The Twitter API does not actually have that much value. It doesn't. It really doesn't. The people that were using it, there was an example of this. The people that were using the Twitter API from the gaming side, Destiny 2 had like a pretty big use for the Twitter API. But the Twitter API is not valuable enough where I'm going to pay for it.
So, yeah, I mean, Musk is just like trying to find more and more ways to make
he's
money.
Scratching the bottom of the barrel, and this is just not it. Like, the people, again, the Destiny group that Try had mentioned this in our server. A lot of Destiny groups use it. And the value for that is, it was free, so the value for that is they can utilize it for a lot of their needs, but it's not worth paying for. And it's not valuable enough to pay for. It is great for educational uses though, because it's a really straightforward thing to set up. And like you can use it for like quite a few various like projects. And actually like there were some challenges that people would do for like coding challenges that use the Twitter API. They're like, use the Twitter API, have a button that somebody can press to send a tweet, basically on your website. Well, now you can't really do that anymore. I don't know if they'll still have an education tier where you can just get it for free if you have a valid university address. If that's not the case, this is disastrously stupid. I don't understand the idea of thinking like, yeah, somebody's gonna pay for this. It's like Twitter Blue. Nobody should be paying for Twitter Blue. There's no value in it right now. All the value in Twitter Blue says coming soon. The Twitter API was very valuable for educational reasons. As far as like other stuff, I don't know. Like Destiny 2 people used it, but guess what? They're just gonna move to Discord. They're just gonna move to Instagram. You're just gonna move somewhere else. You're not gonna pay for this. It just doesn't make sense.
How much does it cost? Do you know? Or
I have no idea.
Have they done that yet?
If it costs 10 cents, it's too much. That's my answer. If it costs 10 cents, it's too much. Like I really don't know. They're like Twitter data are among the world's most powerful data sets. We're committed to enabling fast and comprehensive access so you can continue to build with us. We'll be back with more details on what to expect next week. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. You know, a lot of my professors, I had professors, not a lot, but I had professors who used the Twitter API for various, like, projects that they did for their, like, research projects. Wonder if they're going to have to pay for that now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the stupidest thing in the world. My favorite comment was literally the first one from somebody, you haven't made a single good decision since November, not one. And I 100% agree. There hasn't been a single good decision on this platform so far.
I mean, we went over it like numerous times when Elon took over Twitter. Like it's just like an unmitigated disaster on every front. Like
absolutely
everything that he's done has just been stupid. And yeah, no, it's just he's trying to recoup all the money he wasted buying Twitter.
He's yes, he is 100%, and he's desperate. This is a desperation play to monetize the Twitter API. And again, I want to stress this. There are some weirdos who somebody was like, oh my god, somebody was like, that's not how APIs work. APIs should be paid for. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Shut up. Not every API is supposed to be paid for. There are a lot of like public APIs that are beneficial. There was one weirdo comment that absolutely got trashed. There are a lot of good public
Yeah,
APIs
I
that
mean,
cannot be paid for. They should not be paid for.
I'm
Uh,
sure the person who posted that like is just a Musk dick writer because there's a group of those people. Like,
yes. And the other nice thing about making your API free from the sense of you're a platform that's consumer based is you allow the community to create value for it. Riot has APIs. I don't remember if they're free anymore, but at one point you could use their API, and I've used their API for like random stuff. When Legends of Runeterra came out, I tapped into their API and I had the entire card database on my system.
mm-hmm.
I could do
Yeah.
that, and that was, that was something that I didn't have to pay for. And the nice thing about that is you allow people to create value for you, and that is really powerful. And at some point, what you can do is then you can monetize the usage of, okay, if you're tapping our API to a certain amount, if you're making a certain number of what's called requests to it, you can then monetize that, and I'm okay with that. But just being like, no, you have to pay for this API, like right off the bat without any sort of like request stealing, makes no sense. I don't like it for this particular thing. That's the reason why I post this. I think it's brain dead.
I mean, again, welcome to Elon Musk's
Yeah,
Twitter.
Elon Musk,
Like,
what a stupid thing to do. I hope they backtrack on this. They won't, because Elon's desperate, but I hope they do backtrack on it. It's not a good idea. It's really not a good idea. And I think this. I'm pretty sure this is getting ratioed out the wazoo. As you can see, look at all these quote tweets. Oh, this is bad. Yeah, like a lot of people I think are just saying, look, if it's paid for, we're gonna stop.
Yeah.
Like you can see a lot of these bots are gonna stop functioning. Because they're using the Twitter API. Like that's just what they're doing. A lot of bots are using this Twitter API, and it's like, do you really want to pay for it now? Like, no, you're not gonna pay for it. Why would you? It's not that valuable. it's not that valuable. So anyway, I don't know. I have nothing else to say on this. I mean, like, for me, I'm obviously like I'm a little bit passionate about this because I did a lot of stuff using the API.
Yeah.
And like I know why people like using it. And when you make it paid, like it's no longer valuable.
Yeah. It doesn't. It was nice as a thing people could use if they wanted to, but it doesn't have enough value to actually be paid for.
No, it doesn't. No, and again, if it's worth 10 cents, it's not worth it. That's how I feel. It's not that valuable. Actually, it's valuable because it's free. That's where the value was. Now that it's paid for, it's not valuable. And it's weird to say that. Yeah. But have we talked about Daddy Pascal? Oh God, not the.
I have not watched the HBO.
I mean, I've heard good. I think I've
heard very good things about it. And I did play the game back in the day, and I mean, I have a bit of contrarian opinion on the game. I don't think the game's that good. The story is incredible.
Right.
The game, not that good. Like, as a video game, I got bored of it like 60-70% of the way through the game, and I kept playing it because the story and the characters were that good, and I just wanted to finish it because I liked the story and characters that much. But the gameplay, I got super bored of, like 50, 60, 70% of the way through the game. I was like, yeah, I'm done playing. I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Last of Us game is like, to me, it was like, I don't know, it's been a long time. It's like maybe it's a 7, maybe harsh, but it's like between a 7 and an 8 out of 10 for me. Like it's good, but it's carried by its story. The game itself is very mediocre in my opinion.
Sure. But anyway, that was the end of our news anyway. By the way, that was it.
Yep, that was it.
I don't think we had anything else on there. So, as far as like topics are concerned, tell me about the 4X game first. I want to hear about the 4X game.
Okay. Yeah, there's this new game is called Spellforce Conquest of EO.
What a name. Love it.
It just came out yesterday. And it was not on my radar at all until yesterday, and then I saw some people streaming it yesterday.
PC?
And
Yes.
Yeah, PC.
Correct. Good.
PC. And it is $30 base price, but it's 20% off right now for a week for the first week.
Yeah,
So it's $24
I'm looking it
on
up
Steam.
too. It's
Um,
Spellforce.
Spellforce
Yep, found it.
Conquest of EO. Yeah.
Found it. Okay. Let me see if I can. Well, you're gonna get the Steam video, so I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me see if I can pull the. Whoops. Keep going. I'm gonna pull the video. I gotta reconfigure something.
Yeah. So it is. I wouldn't say it's not a full on 4X. Like it has 4X elements, but it's not like completely a 4X game. And by that I mean like it uses a similar like system to 4X games where you have units, you have a base, you have like research, you have money, like you have resources you have to manage, you have units you have to manage, and you have a base, but you can't. It's not a city builder. Okay, you're a wizard. You're an up and coming wizard, and
Yep.
you come upon like your master's abandoned wizard tower, and you end up like finding stuff, and then you take over the wizard tower, and the wizard tower is your base basically.
Yep.
And the base has a domain around it, and anything in the domain, like it exploits the resources in your domain. So there's gold, there's mana, there's research, and there's a resource called all fire, which is is important to the story of the game basically. um and um and then you have your spell book where you do research. So the research you do is basically tied to your spell book. When you're doing research, you've basically like discovered a new spell, but then you have to research it to be able to use the new spell.
Yep.
And then you have mana, which you use to cast the spells that you have in your spell book. And then you have a tactical turn-based combat akin to, again, I haven't played the games, but what we saw with Age of Wonders that we
Right.
talked about, the combat looks very similar to that. And then you have like you have quests throughout the world to do, and basically you just like hire minions to send out, and you can, depending on the type of wizard you pick, you have different schools of magic you have access to. So at the beginning there's like 3 default types of wizard you can pick. You can be an alchemist, a necromancer, or an artificer.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you access to there's like a crafting system in the game, and obviously the different wizard types do different. Like an alchemist makes potions and stuff, an artificer makes like runes and equipment that are more equipables than one-shot usables like the alchemist. And then the necromancer, is a necromancer, you summon undead and
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah, it's a cool game. I think I played only a couple of hours yesterday and watched some streams of it, and then bought it and played a couple of hours yesterday. That's the crafting menu that you saw.
Yep.
Combat's pretty interesting. You have like different units that do different things. I think combat has some balance issues in my opinion. But I need to play it more to know.
Yeah.
And an interesting part about this game is like the resources that are on the map that you exploit with your towers, like their towers' dominion range. Basically, they run out after a certain amount of time. Like they only last for a certain number of turns, and then you can cast a spell to like lift your tower off the ground and then move your tower somewhere else.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, and then you have hero units that can build what's called a lodge, which is, they it's where they respawn. I think if they die, I haven't had a hero die yet, so I don't know.
Right.
But the hero lodges also exploit the resources in like an area around where you place it, so it does similar to what your like wizard tower does in that respect. Um, so yeah, it's about like exploring the map, and the game has a lot of like random events that you'll come across, and when you go exploring the map and you'll go to like a town or something, and they'll have quests for you to do, and you need to do the quest to increase your reputation with the town so you can get more things. And it's hard to say what the goal of the game is. It's kind of just like to become a powerful wizard, and then there's like a there's like a mage circle that, like in a lot of fantasy worlds, is overseeing the use of magic, and they apparently can antagonize you at some point. And again, I haven't played enough to really interact with them yet.
Yeah.
But one thing I'll say, I believe this game is like strictly PvE. There's no like, as far as I can tell, there's no other like player factions like there would be in like a Civ or a Humankind or a normal 4X like that. As far as I can tell, you're the only person who does the things that you do in this game. Maybe the circle wizards, if they're on the map somewhere, maybe they have their towers and they do similar things to what you do, but other than that, there's no like other players as far as I can tell. All the enemies on the map are like NPCs, beasts, orcs, other like human, bandits, stuff like that. So
Got it.
And winning the game seems just like completing the story. The game is very like narrative driven with the events and the quests that you do. There's always like a patch of dialogue or like a narrative event that explains what's like going on with like what you're doing before you make your decision about how you want to interact with that event, basically. So yeah, it's pretty cool from what I've played so far.
Yeah, it's only $30. I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
It's a low price tag.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not an exceptionally like good looking game, or like, the production value is like it's not broken or janky in any way. Like, I don't think it's buggy, but it's not an especially good looking game. The music so far seems fine. There's not a lot of voice acting or anything in that. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading text boxes.
Yeah.
And there's this like, the one thing I will say that is weird for me on the like production side, in combat, when units move, they just have this like, the footstep sound they make is like, it's terrible, to be honest.
I mean, it's that's probably it. They probably spent as little as possible on aspects of the production value, and that's why the price is low. I mean, if they had done more in that regard, it would not be $30. It would probably be more like 60.
Yeah, but you can also see a ton of potential for DLC in this game, with like adding new types of wizards and new schools of magic and new like events and quests, and they have a potential to expand on this game a lot if they want to, if it's popular, like if they get enough people playing it. So.
And that's important for stuff like this. Like, you want to be able to have the potential for expansion. I mean, like, so to speak. Sorry, a little bit of a pun there. On your game itself for stuff like this. Like, imagine Civ with having no potential to add new cultures and things like that. Like, it would eventually, you would run out of intrigue to continue, and that's like kind of the point is, like, with games like this, you have to open yourself up for additional content, because it can get, I don't want to say stale, but you can definitely lose your interest after a while for playing it. And also, like, these people obviously want to make money, so if you want to continue to support a game like this in the future, you got to have something has to give, whether it's a live service where you have like battle passes and all that stuff, or you just throw out a $5 to $10 here's new stuff DLC. I mean, like, it's that's this game needs that stuff, you know. Otherwise, again, I won't say it's stale, but you just lose a little bit of interest because it, like, you know, the biggest concern is, does every game play out a certain way when you're a certain faction? Is it always the same play when you play a certain faction? Well, I say factions, but certain, you know, certain combinations.
Type of wizard, yeah.
Certain combinations, yeah. And you don't want
Yeah, I
that.
mean, there's definitely, again, there's like 3 different wizard types to choose from, and then there's a custom option, which I didn't dive into what you can pick,
Right.
but I assume there's no more than the 3, like alchemist, necromancer, or artificer.
Right.
But then there's different schools of magic. I don't know how many there are, so the default ones come with like 2 schools of magic that just come with it.
Yep.
But the custom one, I think you could customize like which schools of magic you want to practice. So there's a little customizability there, and then there's a bunch of difficulties to choose from. Obviously, there's like 5 of them, I think. And then there was 5 different worlds or like maps to choose from, basically, as well. So I
Right.
think that would vary it up a little bit. So it seems like there's a decent amount of content and replayability. But yeah, as you said, if it plays out the same way every time, then that's going to be unfortunate.
That is. It's really unfortunate. You don't, you know, that's. I
Yeah,
want to say that's kind of how Back for Blood would have played out if I'd kept going.
yeah.
It would have just ended the same way every time. So,
Yeah, especially since this game, as I said, feels a bit like narrative and story driven with the events and stuff
right.
going on. And if like you always get the same like set of starting events and things play out the same way every single time, that would be pretty
Right.
lame.
Yeah,
So
you don't want that. I mean, it's one of the things I dislike about Civ is cultures generally play out the same way. For me at least, like certain cultures just play out a certain way. You're like you got a culture that's just supposed to do science. You're probably gonna do science.
yeah,
Like,
no, that's the thing. But yeah, Civ, like, you kind of pick your faction at the beginning of the game, and you're like, all right, what is this faction good at? This faction's good at military, or this faction's good at science. This
so
faction's good
probably
at
gonna do
culture.
that.
This
Yeah.
faction's good at religion. Like, I'm just gonna go for like that victory condition, and
Right.
that's kind of it. I think that's what I kind of liked about Humankind, is you could like switch between each era and
Yeah,
kind of
your play changes. Your play changes.
alter your strategy. Humankind has its own set of issues, obviously, but
Yeah, but that's what you want to avoid, is like you want to avoid the Civ effect where, like, okay, I picked this culture, guess I'm playing this way now forever.
Yeah.
And that's like generally how you play it out, which is not that interesting. But anyway. Yeah, as long as it doesn't like play out like that where it's like, oh, I'm a necromancer, I'm only playing this way forever. I don't get to like maneuver.
yeah.
Because I don't know, it's nice. It's nice to be like, okay, like, even though I've picked necromancer, I've got like branches I can choose from to play out my game.
Yeah.
Because that's like what you want. You want to be able to like have a new experience as often as possible. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. The price is certainly appealing. Like $30 is like really
no, I would not have impulse
accessible.
bought this. I would not have impulse bought this yesterday after seeing like a few hours of gameplay of it if it was like 50 or 60,
Right.
or if it was more than 30. I was like,
Right.
it's $24. Like, fuck it. I'll
It's
buy
accessible.
this.
It's
Like,
more accessible.
it looks pretty cool from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I'll drop 24 for this. Like,
It's accessible. That's that's a huge value. So anyway, let me go back to the sets. But yeah, it's interesting. Keep an eye on it.
mhm.